Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another haul for you. After I said I wouldn't buy any books for ages, I bought more books. I just have a serious lack of control when it comes to spending money sometimes, and this is proof of that. I would say that I'm not going to buy any more books for a while, but we'll see, won't we? In all fairness, most of these books were on some kind of sale or deal. I only paid full price for like a handful of them, so I think that means it's not as bad, personally. Disclaimer, I know very little about these books. I purposefully don't look into books too much before I read them because I like to be surprised. I like to not really know what's happening until I'm in it. So if you want, like, I don't know, detailed overviews or whatever, I'm sorry, I can't. For some of them I can, but for most of them I can't give that to you. I'm sorry. It's just about feelings and vibes, really. Firstly, I've somewhat separated these into categories because that just made most sense. So let's start with the classics that I've bought. We'll get the first one out of the way. The first one is Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens, and if you've watched like many of my previous videos, you might be like, Nikki, you don't like that book. You rated it 2 stars, you moaned about how long it was, you did not like it. Why have you bought it again? Hear me out, here's the thing, right, okay? I have come to the conclusion that I have a very complicated relationship with this book. On one hand, I don't like it, but on the other hand, I really, really do, and I can't tell exactly where I sit with it. I do have a physical copy of Oliver Twist already, but it's really not the best. I don't know where I got it from. I'm assuming I must have got it from a charity shop or something. It's really small, it's got really thin paper, the text is tiny, so I wanted like an actual proper copy because I'm gonna reread it. So that's why I bought this. I really didn't need to. I also, just fun fact, I used to collect copies of Oliver Twist, like not like special editions or anything, just whenever I saw a different edition in a charity shop I would just buy it, because like I have a very deep and complicated relationship with this book. So yeah, that's the first one. The next is Little Women. Now, I know this is a very, very well-loved classic. A lot of people really, really like this book. I've never read it. I don't know why I've never read it. I just haven't. Probably because of my aversion that I had to classics for such a long time. But I'm really looking forward to reading this. I actually only bought this because I went into Waterstones and they didn't have any of the books that I wanted. And so I bought this like out of anger because there was nothing else that I wanted in there. I vaguely know what it's about, of course, because it's like a very, very popular book. So I think I will enjoy it, but we'll see. I'm not sure when I'll get to it, but it's on my list to read probably sooner rather than later. The next is 1984 by George Orwell. Ignore the sticker that just won't come off. I'm really, really angry about it. I will get it off eventually. I realised I don't really have any or many modern classics. I have a couple just because I still have them from when I did GCSE English Lit, but I don't actually have any, nor have I read any since I did GCSE English Lit. So because I'm trying to expand my horizons, read more, and especially read more classics, I was like, well, I need to read some of the modern ones as well. So I got this because it was there and it was in a deal. So very different from what I would normally read, and obviously the type of classics that I have been reading. So I'm quite interested, quite intrigued. Obviously I vaguely know about this book. I don't really know enough of what it's about to try and explain it. I vaguely know the gist of it, so interested to see what this is actually like, especially because it's something that's like referenced so often. And then finally for the classics, I got The Idiot by Dostoevsky. This was one of the books that I wanted to get in Waterstones that they didn't have, so I angrily ordered it online when I got home because I was pissed off that they didn't have it. I literally only got this because I saw someone say that it was their favourite Dostoevsky book and they would really recommend reading it, and I was like, well, okay then, I'll buy it, you've convinced me. This is one I'm gonna put off for a long time because it's so chunky, but I will get to it eventually, I'm sure. Okay, that is all the classics. So next we've got some fantasy to look over. The first of which is Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. This also has a sticker on it that started tearing and being annoying, so I haven't finished taking it off yet. This I bought because I read the first book in this, I think it's a duology. Is it just 2 books? I hope it is. I don't remember. I read the first book as part of my random wheel spin challenge video, and I quite enjoyed it. It was quite good. And I wanted to read the next one, so I picked this up. It has nice orange sprayed edges, which is kind of annoying because my copy of Our Violent Delights does not have that, but it's still cool. It's still really pretty. The first book, Our Violent Delights, is like a retelling of Romeo and Juliet. It follows the 2 heirs of like rival gangs in Shanghai, and there's a fantasy element to it. There's this like sickness type thing that's going around that seems sort of magical in nature, and they're trying to work out what's causing it. I think that's what happens. Anyway, I quite enjoyed it. It wasn't the best book I've ever read, but I did quite enjoy it, so I picked up this because it's the second book in the series and I would like to know what happens. So the next 3 books are all part of the 3 for £6 deal in the works. The first one is Hex Education by Maureen Kilner. I don't know that I would really call this genre of like witchy book fantasy, but I suppose technically it is fantasy because, you know, there's magic in it. This does actually sound like it could be good. I also really liked the cover. Anything with a purple cover I'm probably gonna buy because they always look really nice. I assumed this was just gonna be like your standard witchy romance that is quite popular at the moment, but from looking at the back, it actually looks like it's not romance. It probably will have elements of that, or maybe that'll be there, we'll see. Essentially it looks like it's about 3 girls who knew each other when they were younger, did this spell that went really badly wrong, and have now like grown up in a, you know, in their separate lives, adults, just living, when actually things from the past start coming back and they have to like deal with what they did or try and like cover it up maybe. I'm hoping this will be good. I'm hoping it will be the kind of witchy vibes that I want because I'm usually quite disappointed by witch books, so I have high hopes for this. The next book I literally only got because it looks like it will be shit but in a funny way. This is Filthy Rich Vampire by Geneva Leigh, and just from the cover and the title I was like, I know exactly what that's gonna be, but I read the back and it does actually sound like it'll be funny shit. This is about like a really rich vampire, like a top of vampire society, but he doesn't have a partner. He doesn't have a vampire wife or whatever, and that's a really big problem in this vampire society apparently. So what does he do? He fake dates a human, of course. I think she's like, what is she? Yeah, she's a cellist. That's all I can gather from the back. You know, if it's a vampire book, I'm gonna get it, and if I can laugh and have a good time while reading it, then that's good. So I hope that's what this is. I hope this isn't just bad. I hope it's fun, silly bad, so it's still enjoyable, you know? The final book here, I don't actually know if it's fantasy. I can't quite tell from the blurb. It looks like it might be, but it also looks like it might not be. This is The Circus Train by Amita, parikh. I'm really sorry if I've pronounced that last name incorrectly. So this is set in Europe in like the late 30s, and the main character is the daughter of like a famous circus performer. So they're like traveling around in this traveling circus. But she like really is interested in medicine and wants to do that instead. But then she meets someone else, and then it says about like magic. So I don't know if they actually mean magic in the book or if it's just like a sense of wonder. I'm not really sure. I couldn't tell if it was fantasy or not. But obviously because it's set in Europe in the late 30s, there is then the looming war that's about to happen. It seemed like it could be interesting. Circus, but also war is like an interesting combination. So I don't think this is going to be like at the top of my reading list, but I think it still could be really good. It could be interesting, so I'm excited to see. It's something different, at least. Definitely different from other things that I read, so that's always good. The final fantasy book that I got is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, which I had pre-ordered. There was no way I wasn't gonna get this when it came, like, on release day. It's Leigh Bardugo. If Leigh Bardugo releases a book, I'm gonna fucking buy it. So I have actually started reading it because it's like the day after it came out at this point. So I think I'm like 40% through it so far, potentially. It's okay, it's going well. I'm very interested to see where it goes and what happens, because it feels like things are still building at the moment, but I do plan on doing a full review of it when I finished it, because it's Leigh Bardugo and it's gonna be good. And then finally, for like the print books, I've just got other, because I've only got 3 other books. It didn't make sense to separate them into genre, so they're just not classics and not fantasy, essentially. So the first one, I didn't realize still had that sticker on it. This is The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. It was great value, so I bought it, that's why. No. About a bookshop, firstly, big tick. It's set in Dublin, another big tick. And there's secrets. I love a book where there's a nice setting, like a library, an old house, a university, something like that, and there's secrets that people either need to hide or discover. That, I love those vibes, and honestly, I have no idea what this book is about aside from that. It's just, it seemed like it would have good vibes, you know? Like those mysterious, old building vibes, which I generally quite enjoy. So hopefully this lives up to that, because I think the last book I read that I felt like would be like that, I was quite disappointed by. So I'm in need of a good secret vibey book, so hopefully this fills that. And then this was the other book that was part of the like buy one get one half price in Smith's. This is Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I genuinely no idea what this book is about. No idea. I've read the blurb, but I read it when I bought it, so I don't really remember. I think it's about 2 people who used to like each other and then they come back together. I don't remember. I'll just read it without knowing, because I would rather do that, like I said at the beginning. But I know that a lot of people really like this book, and again, it was really popular, got very good reviews, and I just didn't get around to it for whatever reason. So I finally bought it because it was part of that offer. There was 2 books I kind of wanted, so I was like, yeah, why not? I'll get it. Oh, it's set in the 90s. Oh, I vaguely remember now. Are they in a band or something? I feel like they might be in a band. I don't really remember, but yeah. Interested anyway. The last book, so this was actually a blind date with a book from the works, again, because my local works has them like all the time now, which is great. So I'm actually re-recording this video because I filmed it the other day and I don't know what happened, it just wasn't great, so I decided to re-record it. So I've already opened it, obviously, so if the footage from that is okay, I will put it here. This is Edwardian Historical, Secrets in Imprisonment, Hopes and Dreams, Can They Find Happiness? Which is probably going to be a romance, which we all know I hate at the moment, so we shall see. They've also wrapped this, or like taped this, so securely. Oh no, it's got real people on the cover. I don't like books with real people on the cover. This is a book I would never pick up, ever. Oh god, what is this? It's called Secret of the Jam Factory Girls. I'm really sorry if this is a really good book. I am really sorry, Mary Wood, if this is amazing, but I would never, I do fully judge books by their cover. I would never pick this up, but maybe that's a good thing, because maybe it's really good. Maybe the Jam Factory Girl stories are actually really good. Oh no, is this book 2? Because then there's also just the Jam Factory Girls. Oh. Alright, let's look it up. It fucking is number 2. The Works, what are you doing? Putting the 2nd book in a series in a blind date with a book. Do I need to have read the first one? Because I honestly don't want to read the first one. Ah, someone has said it can be read as a standalone, so we're all good, we're all fine. Who knows? Maybe I will fall in love with the Jam Factory Girls. and I will want to read all 3 books in this series. Who knows? In all fairness to this book, it has like a lot. Looking at how many reviews books on Goodreads normally have, it's on the lower end of how many reviews it has, but it has decent good reviews. Like, not a single 1 star, only a few 2 stars. So, not as good as my last blind date with a book from the works. But who knows, maybe I will come to love the Jam Factory girls. I have a feeling that the blind date with a book thing that they do in the works is just obviously like the books that they have like some left over of that they haven't sold and they need to get rid of. So, you know, I think it can be a little bit hit and miss in there, but it's fun to not know what you're gonna get. So some of them are gonna be great. Like the last one I got sounded like it was gonna be awesome. I still haven't read it yet, but it sounded like it was gonna be awesome. This one I'm a little bit more like, I don't know that that's for me. Who knows, maybe I'll be surprised and I'll love it. Okay, all of the rest of the books I got are Kindle books, and they are all part of, I'm pretty sure they're all part of the 99p deals for April. So if you do want any of these books, they are currently 99p if you are watching this in April. Go and get them quickly while they're still really cheap if you do want any of them. The first one is Dark Heir by C.S. Pascat. I read the first book in the series, Dark Rise, last month, and I really enjoyed it. There was some like a mixed reviews on it when I looked afterwards. Some people said it was like really boring and quite slow and that the characters weren't great. I personally loved it. I really enjoyed it. It was very YA fantasy. In case you don't know, it follows the story of Will, who has been pretty much on the run his whole life with his mum because people are trying to kill him. And right at the start of the book, we find Will just after his mum's been killed because these people did catch up to them, and now he's on his own trying to like keep himself safe and like flee these people that are chasing him. But he forms like an unlikely friendship with, is her name Violet? I can't remember what her name is. I think it's Violet. She's also awesome. And they discover like this hidden world, and it's all about like the forces of light trying to defeat the forces of evil, and it was really good. It was a bit slow, but I personally still really enjoyed it, and I loved the characters a lot. So it was just a nice, refreshing change from the influx of romantasy that just seems to dominate adult fantasy now, or like popular adult fantasy. So I thoroughly enjoyed it for that reason. I love Will, the main character, so much. I can't wait to see what happens to him next. So yeah, the second book was 99p and I was like, I'm immediately buying that, definitely. I'm gonna be getting that. I think there's the 3rd book in the series which isn't out yet, which is unfortunate. I don't know when it comes out, but yeah, that's a real shame because I thought it was only a duology when I started reading it. This has happened to me too many times. It fucking happened to me with Ninth House. It's happened to me with this. I think it happened to me with something else as well, but I don't care. I'm gonna read this one soon. I'm very excited about it. Yeah, would recommend, and the second one is 99p at the moment. So then the next book is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I didn't know what this book was about before I saw it on the 99p deals for the month. It just had a cool front cover, and then I looked at it and it's vampires. It's about Dracula's bride and going off and doing something else, and I was like, yes, immediately yes, I'm gonna get this, because what do I always say? I love vampires. I will consume any book that is about vampires, especially if it's about Dracula type vampires, which I'm hoping it is gonna be like, you know, Dracula accurate vampires, because I want like actual vampires. So I'm hoping it will be like that. I'm very excited. Again, I don't really know much else about it other than that, but I have a good feeling about it. So I really hope it lives up to that. The next book is Butcher and Blackbird. Didn't know if I wanted to read. This is, in case you have missed this is a serial killer romance that was like doing the rounds on like TikTok and YouTube relatively recently, like within the past like 6 months or so, I think. My sense of time is shit, but I think within that sort of time frame. Yeah, I didn't know if I was gonna read it or not, but then I saw it for 99p and I was like, I kind of want to like satiate my curiosity on this. So I don't think I'm gonna like it. I don't think it's for me. I don't think it's gonna be very good, but I want to satiate my curiosity, so I will read it. Depending on how I feel about it and how awful it is, I may do a whole video on it. But who knows? Maybe I'll surprise myself and love it. I don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah, I literally just bought this just because I was like, oh, it's cheap and I've been, you know, seeing it everywhere, so may as well. You know. The next book is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni, I think is how you would pronounce that. Again, sorry if that's wrong. I have actually read this now. I only got it because it had a nice front cover and it did, you know, the premise of it seemed interesting. It's essentially about this girl called Kiva who is in prison, has been in prison since she was a child, and she has become the like medic or healer in the prison. But then a queen, a rebel queen, ends up coming into the prison and is sentenced to a trial by ordeal, which essentially means she has to do 4 different trials all based on different elements, and it's very unlikely that anyone would ever survive these trials, but Kiva offers to take her place and do these trials for her. And that is basically the premise of the book, is Kiva being a healer but also doing these very dangerous tasks on behalf of this queen. I have now finished it. It was okay. It was... I'm not going to do like a full review. I am going to do a wrap up this month. I didn't do one last month, so I'm going to do a wrap up on all the books I've read for the past 2 months, so it's probably going to be a long one. So I'll do like a full review there. But yeah, it was okay. There is another book. I think there's 3 books in this series. I am gonna read the next one, even though the ending of this one pissed me off so much. I was not happy about the ending, but I'm still gonna read the next one just to see what happens. Again, it's 99p, so get it if you're interested in a somewhat different kind of interesting fantasy series. Then I got One for My Enemy by Olivie Blake. Now, I am basically just amassing a collection of Olivie Blake books and I haven't actually read any of them. I'm really hoping I like her writing style because I now have quite a few of her books, despite never having read any of them. This one particularly piqued my interest though because it is another Romeo and Juliet retelling like Our Violent Delights, which obviously I've read last month and quite enjoyed. But this one is with witches, and I also love witches. I think it might be the first one of her books that I actually do read because I know that I kind of already like the concept from another book that I've read. It's got witches. I don't think it's that long, so I think this might be the first one of hers that I actually read, so I'm quite excited. But I'm also going to be really disappointed if I don't like her writing and then I have these other books of hers that then I'll probably be less motivated to read. But yeah, I'm interested, definitely. I'm hoping it'll be good. I'm hoping it'll be good. And then finally I got Cleopatra and Frankenstein. I genuinely could not tell you anything about what this book is about. I have read the blurb, I understand the blurb, I still could not really tell you what it's about. I think it's about a relationship between 2 people, and I think one or both of them may have mental health difficulties. I'm not 100% sure though what it's actually about. Again, I've heard it's good, it had decent reviews, I've seen it around quite a lot and been like, oh, what's that? It was 99p. I was like vaguely interested by the blurb, so I got it. I can't really tell you more than that because I have no understanding of what it's about at all. I'll just have to find out as I read it. That is all of the books that I have bought recently. I would say over like the past month. I didn't just buy all of these in one go because that would have been a significant hit, even though I did get all, like most of them on deal. Let me know as always if you've read any of these books. If you have, did you like them? Like, no spoilers, but did you like them? Should I read them? Should I prioritize any of others? Do let me know. If you've also been irresponsible and bought a shit ton of books recently, I would love to know what you've been buying, so I can add more to my wish list and probably impulsively buy them. I hope wherever you are, you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.